This world never rewards the naive. It only rewards those who are strategic. You can work harder than everyone else. You can be honest, talented, and dedicated, yet still watch others climb higher while you remain stuck behind. Why? Because they see the chessboard you refuse to look at. Society teaches you that strategy is evil, that planning is deception. But the truth is this: if you don't know how to play the game, you will forever remain prey in a world built for hunters. Strategy is not deception. It is awareness. It is the ability to read people before they strike. It is choosing your battles with cold precision. It is staying silent while others expose themselves. Pause for a moment. Think about how many opportunities you've lost simply because you waited for someone else's approval. Maybe it was when you asked your boss for permission to start a project. Maybe it was when you wanted to change jobs, but kept waiting for someone to support you. And the result? The opportunity slipped away while you stood still. This is the deadliest illusion: believing someone will come to save you. It's sweet, it's comforting, but it's poison. When you kill that illusion, you are reborn. You discover you don't need anyone to open the door for you, no one to guide the way. Everything you need is already within you. From that moment, you are no longer a pawn. You become the one who controls the board. So, the question is, will you continue being a compliant piece? Or will you finally become the player? Do you fear loneliness? Most people do. They fear the silent room, the evenings without conversation, the reflection of their own eyes in the mirror. But Machiavelli did not see solitude as punishment. He saw it as a secret laboratory where the coldest minds are forged. In silence, you cannot hide from yourself. No applause to mask your weakness. No crowd to lull you with comfort. Only the bare mirror remains. Who are you when no one is watching? When no one is praising? If tomorrow you lost everyone around you, what would remain besides yourself? Most tremble at that question. They run toward noise, toward recognition, to cover the fear of being left behind. But the wise do the opposite. They sit still in that silence. And it is there that a primal strength awakens, a strength no one can give and no one can take away. Imagine an office worker who loses his job after 10 years. The people who once clapped for his success vanish. The colleagues who once praised him fall silent. In a small room, he is left with only himself. This is not the end, this is the beginning. That solitude forces him to discover a strength he never knew he had. How many times have you delayed a decision just because you waited for someone else's approval? How many times have you shelved a dream because no one encouraged you? Every moment of waiting, you place another invisible chain on your own hands. Machiavelli once wrote, "The prince who must rely on allies soon becomes a hostage." And you? If your will survives only on praise and external motivation, then you too are just a slave wearing the mask of a master. Solitude is like drinking a bitter medicine. At first, it is uncomfortable. It strips away the fragility you try to hide. But once endured, you discover the truth. You need no one to open the door, no one to guide you. Everything is already within you. The crowd tells you loneliness is emptiness. But what if it is the hidden battlefield where you forge the sword of your mind? The power of solitude lies here. When you no longer fear standing alone, every relationship becomes a choice, not a dependency. You shake hands from equality. You cooperate for strategy, not out of fear. Remember, in noise, you only hear the world. In silence, for the first time, you hear yourself. And once you hear that voice, no one can ever lead you by the nose again. If you truly understand this power, comment, "I am strong in solitude." There is no fortress stronger than discipline, and there is no enemy more dangerous than your own lack of control. Machiavelli once warned, "A ruler is not overthrown because of external enemies, but because of cracks within himself." Unchecked desires, misplaced anger, or sudden weakness, all are enough to open the gate to an enemy. Discipline is not a command forced from the outside. It is the hidden government within you, where willpower governs desire and reason governs emotion. Before you can control others, you must first command yourself. How many times have you failed not because others were stronger, but because you couldn't conquer yourself? Think of a boxer. He has talent and strength, but every time he steps into the ring, he loses his temper. A small provocation from his opponent makes him rush in blindly, abandoning all strategy. The result? He doesn't lose because he is weaker, but because he is less disciplined. Without discipline, talent is nothing but fireworks bright for a moment, then gone. With discipline, even an average ability can become lasting power. Discipline does not kill emotions. It turns emotions into tools. Anger can become fuel. Ambition can become a compass. Even fear, if controlled, can become a warning light, guiding you away from traps. Do you control your habits, or do your habits control you? Imagine each day as laying a brick. Skip one day, and a crack appears. Skip a week, and the whole wall begins to crumble. When the storm comes, the undisciplined are the first to fall. A disciplined person is like solid rock. They cannot be pulled away by a taunt, shaken by a temptation, or broken by temporary pain. That is why they are feared, because others find no door to enter. But discipline is not blind rigidity. A wall too hard will shatter with a single precise strike. True discipline must be flexible, knowing when to hold, when to retreat, when to bend, so it never breaks. Real power begins the moment you become the ruler of yourself. And once you master yourself, you can master any situation. If you believe discipline is the foundation of power, comment, "I rule myself." In a noisy world where everyone wants to speak and prove themselves right, silence becomes a rare form of power. Machiavelli once warned, "Every word is an arrow once released from the bow, it never returns." Those who speak too much expose themselves. Those who stay silent conceal an arsenal in the shadows. How many times have you regretted saying just one careless sentence? A young employee in a meeting, eager to prove his intelligence, spoke too much. Not only did he reveal half-formed ideas, but he also exposed his weaknesses. Immediately, colleagues used his very words to undermine him. If he had stayed silent a few minutes longer, simply observing, the outcome might have been very different. Silence turns you into an unreadable mirror. Others cannot stand the void. They rush to fill it with words, and in those words, they reveal their insecurities, their plans, even their deepest hidden flaws. Picture this. You are attacked in front of a crowd, and instead of reacting, you remain silent. Who will lose patience first, you or your attacker? When attacked, ordinary people rush to defend themselves. But the wise respond only with a cold stare, with silence stretched long enough to unsettle the aggressor. That silence confuses the opponent, while the crowd begins to wonder, are they silent because they're weak, or because they hold a dangerous secret? It is that ambiguity that spreads power. Silence is also control of tempo. Others want you to react immediately so they can steer you. But when you delay your response, waiting becomes your weapon. 3 seconds of silence in a negotiation can weigh heavier than 30 minutes of argument. Silence is not retreat. It is preparation. It is strategy. And because of your silence, every word you eventually speak will thunder like lightning. People will listen because they are used to your silence, and every word suddenly becomes precious. In a world where everyone screams for attention, the one who knows when to stay silent becomes the most feared. For the greatest power is not in how much you say, but in how much you force others to imagine behind your silence. If you understand that silence is also a weapon, comment, "Silence is my strength." True strength is not found in never falling. True strength lies in the ability to always rise again colder, sharper, more unpredictable. People often think resilience means smiling through pain, but Machiavelli would say, That is not resilience, that is blind endurance. Real resilience is the ability to turn every failure into data, every wound into strategy, every fall into a platform to rise higher. When you collapse, do you choose to cry or to learn? A young startup fails to raise funding. Most will give up and abandon the dream, but a small group chooses to analyze the reasons the product wasn't ready, the model wasn't right. They return with a new version, and the second time, they succeed. The difference is not luck, it is resilience. Knowing how to rise, adjust, and return sharper than before. A naive man sees betrayal as tragedy. A wise one sees it as a lesson. The one who weeps loses everything. The one who analyzes returns more dangerous. Look at bamboo in a storm. It bends, but it never breaks. After the storm, the bamboo stands tall again. While rigid trees snap into pieces, humans are the same. Rigidity is disguised weakness. Flexibility is true strength. If tomorrow you lost everything, would you be resilient enough to rebuild from nothing? Machiavellian resilience is not about being invincible, it is about being indestructible. You can lose money, friends, status, but if you know how to rise again, your enemies can never truly defeat you. For the one who does not fear falling, losing, or starting over is the most dangerous of all. If you believe true strength is forged in failure, comment, "I cannot be destroyed." In a world where people see with their eyes before they think with their reason, the mask is not deception, it is a weapon. Machiavelli once said, "A ruler does not need to be merciful, but he must appear merciful." The crowd does not care about truth. They only need a surface they can easily believe. If you reveal your entire true self, you hand others too much information to attack. But if you know how to wear the mask, you control what they see, and therefore, you control their actions. Do you want others to see the real you, or the version you want them to believe? Imagine a new manager. In reality, he lacks experience and carries many fears. But instead of exposing them, he keeps a calm face, speaks little but with certainty, creating the impression that he knows more than he actually does. The result? His employees respect him. His rivals hesitate. The weak truth inside. Yet the mask gives him power. The mask is a shield. It makes others attack the illusion instead of you. While they waste energy striking at the outer version, you gain time to calculate and control the game. Do you see it now? The world does not reward absolute honesty. It only reacts to the impression you create. Wise leaders always have many masks. When necessary, they appear generous to win loyalty. When necessary, they appear cold to instill fear. This calculated shifting makes them unpredictable, and unpredictability always carries power. In life, if you are always easy, you will be dismissed. If you are always harsh, you will be resisted. But if you know when to smile, when to stay silent, when to let a single look speak, you will control the entire room. The most important thing, do not love your mask so much that you become its prisoner. It is only a tool. The wise know when to change it, when to discard it, and when to use it to rewrite the story in the eyes of others. In a world full of predators, the mask not only helps you survive, it helps you become the predator in the shadows. If you understand that power sometimes lies in the mask you wear, comment, "I control my mask." In politics, in business, even in everyday life, betrayal is not the exception. It is the rule. Machiavelli understood better than anyone. Human loyalty lasts only as long as interest remains. When interests shift, loyalty shifts with them. The naive believe in eternal friendship and unbreakable alliances. The wise know every handshake is an unspoken contract based on benefit. Are you certain that the person patting your shoulder today won't stab you in the back tomorrow? A startup once received major investment from a large fund. At first, they were fully supported. But when the market turned, the fund withdrew and invested in a competitor. The betrayal did not come from an outside enemy, but from the ally who once sat at the same table. The lesson? Alliances exist only as long as interests align. That is why Machiavelli advises, build alliances, but never depend on them. Dependence turns allies into chains and turns you into a hostage. Are you holding someone's hand or chaining your own? A wise alliance requires 3 elements. Mutual benefit. If only one side gains, the alliance will quickly collapse. Bounded commitment. Never put your entire survival in someone else's hands. Always keep an exit. Flexibility. Know when to shake hands, when to withdraw, and when to end it. Betrayal is rarely sudden. It is foreshadowed by long silences, averted eyes, rushed decisions. The naive ignore these signs and fall to the knife in their back. The wise take note, prepare, and when the blade descends, they are ready to turn the board. And sometimes, you must be the betrayer. If an alliance becomes a burden, if keeping your promise means suicide, breaking it is not treachery. It is survival. The issue is not if you betray, but how you exit while preserving your reputation and your power. In the game of power, the worst mistake is not betrayal itself, but the naive belief that betrayal will never come. Alliances are tools, not shelters. The naive see alliances as homes. The wise see them as springboards. And in a world where betrayal is inevitable, the only way never to be destroyed is this. Always be ready to lose an ally, but never lose the ability to stand alone. If you understand that an alliance only has value when you don't make yourself a hostage, comment, I depend on no one. Humans love to call themselves rational beings. But the truth is different. They act through emotion far more than reason. And Machiavelli understood. Whoever controls emotions controls people. He once wrote, people may love you, but they will abandon you when love no longer serves their interest. Yet, if they fear you, that fear will keep them in place. Fear endures longer than love, because love requires constant nurturing, while fear, once planted, lasts a very long time. Ask yourself, when was the last time you lost control because of emotion? A young CEO, under stress, exploded at his team in front of clients. In a moment of rage, he cost the company a major contract. It wasn't the competitor who defeated him, it was his own emotions. If you do not rule your emotions, others will use those very emotions to rule you. Controlling emotion does not mean becoming a soulless machine. It means turning emotion into a tool. Anger, if restrained, can become fuel. Ambition, if guided, can become a compass. Even fear, if understood, can serve as a radar, warning you away from deadly mistakes. Do you control fear, or does fear control you? When you master your own emotions, you can plant emotions in others. A cold stare can make someone tremble more than 1,000 threats. A well-timed silence can plant terrifying scenarios in their minds, worse than any punishment in reality. People are not afraid of the blade they see. They are afraid of the darkness where their imagination creates the blade. But remember, fear must be sown with wisdom. Too little, and it has no power. Too much, and it breeds hatred, and hatred creates rebellion. The art of power lies in sowing just enough fear to keep people cautious, while leaving them enough hope to obey. In life, a leader who always smiles and jokes is rarely respected, but one who is reserved, calm-faced, and speaks only a few sharp words at the right moment, such a leader commands caution, and the group adjusts itself. In the shadows of fear, who rules you, or someone else? That is silent domination. You don't need to shout. You don't need to threaten. You only need to plant just enough fear in their hearts and let them restrain themselves. If you understand that emotions and fear are tools to seize power, comment, I master emotions and I sow fear. In the game of power, There is one weapon most people forget: time. The impatient see time as the enemy. They rush into battle too early, act recklessly, and trap themselves. But Machiavelli understood. Time is not an enemy. It is a silent ally, if you know how to wait. How many times have you failed simply because you were too eager to win immediately? A young entrepreneur hears that his competitor is about to launch a new product. Panicked, he rushes out an unfinished version. The result? Bugs, disappointed customers, a ruined reputation. If he had waited just a few more months to perfect it, he could have turned the tables. He didn't lose because he was unskilled. He lost because he ran faster than time allowed. Time is like a river. The foolish jump in and are swept away. The wise stand on the banks, watching, building dams, waiting for the right moment to turn the current into power. Are you swimming blindly in the flow, or are you redirecting it toward yourself? In negotiation, 3 seconds of silence can make your opponent lower the price. In strategy, a slower move can make the impatient destroy themselves. Those who know how to wait never need to shout for at the right moment. One cold strike is enough to change the entire board. Time is also the great unmasker. The one who pretends loyalty will eventually reveal betrayal. The one who wears confidence will eventually tremble. You don't need to expose them, time will. But patience is not procrastination. Patience is strategy. Procrastination is fear. The wise can wait years to act, but when the moment arrives, they move within a single breath. Are you being patient, or are you deceiving yourself with delay? Even in personal relationships, time is a tool. Absence at the right moment is more powerful than constant presence. When you are gone, questions arise. And when you return, your presence is worth 10 times more. This is the secret Machiavelli wanted you to understand. Time is not just something that passes. It is the drumbeat of power. Whoever commands that rhythm commands the game. If you believe that time is the silent ally of power, comment, "I master time." Immediate power can make you shine, but it is fragile. A throne can collapse overnight. A fortune can vanish in a single upheaval. A reputation praised today can become tomorrow's mockery. But there is one thing, if built correctly, that outlives even death: legacy. Machiavelli understood that the wise ruler does not plan only for tomorrow. He thinks in decades, in centuries. The man who only fights to survive today will soon disappear. But the one who plants the seeds of power into people's minds will remain long after his body has turned to ashes. Do you want to die twice, once in the body and once in oblivion? Or die only once, while your name lives forever? Steve Jobs is gone, yet every iPhone that appears is still part of his legacy. Alexander the Great died young, yet centuries later, his name still shakes the world. Machiavelli himself, over 500 years gone, is still invoked as a symbol of strategy. All prove the same truth: legacy is stronger than time. Legacy is not statues or songs of praise. Those will also crumble. Real legacy is invisible architecture, an idea, a system, a principle. These continue to live quietly even when you no longer do. Are you chasing glory or building legacy? Glory is a lightning flash, bright, then gone. Legacy is a fire that smolders for centuries. The wise do not chase applause. They build systems that endure even after they depart. Even in ordinary life, legacy can be the values you leave in your family, the standards you set in your work, or an idea you plant in your community that others continue to repeat. You may be gone, but your influence remains. Machiavelli would ask, do you want to be remembered as a spark that vanished, or as a shadow of power sheltering generations? Do you want to leave a legacy or a void? The wise choose to build legacy. They know it is the shield that guards their name from oblivion. They do not seek short-term praise. They lay the foundation for immortality in human memory. If you believe that legacy is power beyond death, comment, "I build my legacy." You have just walked through a journey not meant for the weak. You've learned how to use solitude, forge discipline, turn silence into a weapon, rise after failure, wear the mask to control perception, shake hands without becoming a hostage, plant fear to command emotions, turn time into an ally, and finally, build legacy to outlive death. But what does all of this mean if you don't start today? The core is simple. If you don't rule yourself, others will rule you. If you don't step up as the player, you will remain just a pawn. True power is not luck, not circumstance. It begins with the cold decision, "I rule myself." Pause for a second and ask yourself, do you want to keep living dependent, predictable, easy to manipulate? Or do you want to become the one who holds the board in his hands? If you're ready to step onto the Machiavellian path, comment, "I am the one who holds the board." That will be your vow, your mark, the beginning of a new journey. And remember, this is only the beginning. In the next video, I will give you even colder, sharper rules, the kind Machiavelli himself would smile to see you apply. See you in the next video. This world does not belong to the naive. It belongs to those who dare to play the game of power.